Imagine a world where luxury and beauty reign supreme, where the elite of an ancient empire escape to indulge in every pleasure imaginable. Picture a vibrant city, nestled at the base of a seemingly harmless mountain, its streets buzzing with life, its markets overflowing with exotic goods. Now, imagine all of that wiped away in an instant, buried under layers of ash and stone by a force so powerful, so sudden, that no one saw it coming. Welcome to the story of Pompeii, a city frozen in time by the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. This is not just a tale of destruction, but a haunting reminder of nature's untamed power and humanity's fragile existence. Let's step back nearly 2,000 years and uncover the day that changed history forever. In the early months of 79 AD, the region of Campania, surrounding the Gulf of Naples, was a paradise for the Roman elite. This stunning coastal area was their playground, a place where the wealthiest patricians, prosperous plebeians, and even emperors built lavish villas to escape the hustle of Rome. Among these cities, Pompeii stood out as a shining gem. It was a hub of culture, entertainment, and indulgence, drawing in Romans who craved excitement and luxury. If you had money, Pompeii had everything you could desire. The city was home to 2 grand theaters, a massive arena for gladiatorial battles, the first of its kind in the Roman Empire, and 2 gymnasiums for exercise and socializing. Small eateries, known as thermopolia, dotted the streets, serving hot meals to busy citizens, while lupanaria, or brothels, catered to more private desires. The markets of Pompeii were a feast for the senses. Shelves brimmed with fine wines, exotic spices from distant lands, rare fabrics, and luxury goods that spoke of wealth and status. Slaves, often seen as commodities, were sold to serve the whims of the elite. Life here was good. Too good, perhaps. The city sat at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, a volcano that hadn't erupted in over 1,000 years. To the people of Pompeii, it was just a mountain, a beautiful backdrop to their fertile lands. No one feared it. No one imagined the danger lurking beneath its quiet slopes. The volcanic soil around Vesuvius was incredibly rich, producing bountiful harvests of grains, vegetables, and fruits. The nearby Gulf of Naples teemed with fish and seafood, feeding the region's growing population. On the slopes of the mountain, vineyards stretched as far as the eye could see, producing a wine so famous it was called the blood of Vesuvius, celebrated across the empire. But beneath this idyllic surface, warning signs were brewing. 17 years earlier, in 62 AD, a powerful earthquake had shaken the region. The damage was severe. Roofs caved in, walls crumbled, and statues fell in the streets of Pompeii. Today, we might see this as a clear signal of impending disaster, but the Romans had no such understanding. Earthquakes were not uncommon in the area, and life went on as the city rebuilt. Little did they know, this was just a prelude to a catastrophe that would erase entire cities from the map. We are fortunate to have a first-hand account of the eruption, thanks to 2 letters written by Pliny the Younger, a young Roman author, to the historian Tacitus. At the time, Pliny was only 17 years old, living with his mother and his uncle, Pliny the Elder, in Misenum, a town about 18 miles from Vesuvius. Misenum was a key Roman naval base, its natural harbor formed by an ancient volcanic crater. Pliny the Elder was the commander of the fleet stationed there, a respected figure known for his curiosity about the natural world. For years, Historians believed the eruption happened on August 24th or 25th, based on Pliny's letters. But recent discoveries, like carbonized pomegranates, fruits that ripen in late September, and heavy clothing worn by victims, suggest a later date, possibly in October or November. One inscription found on a wall even points to October 17th as a key marker, just days before the disaster. It all began around midday, when a strange, dark gray cloud rose above Mount Vesuvius. It shot up into the sky in a tall column before spreading out at the top, looking eerily like a stone pine tree. Pliny the Younger described seeing flashes of lightning and bursts of flame within the cloud, accompanied by deafening claps of thunder. It was a terrifying sight, one that caught the attention of Pliny's mother first. She pointed it out to her brother-in-law, Pliny the Elder, who was not only a naval commander, but also a passionate scientist. Fascinated by the phenomenon, he decided to investigate closer and invited his nephew to join him. Young Pliny declined, choosing to stay behind, a decision that likely saved his life. As Pliny the Elder prepared to set sail, a desperate message arrived from Rectina, the wife of a friend. Her villa sat at the base of Vesuvius near Herculaneum, and she begged for help to escape the growing danger. Without hesitation, Pliny the Elder ordered his fleet to prepare for a rescue mission. His goal was not just to save Rectina, but to evacuate as many people as possible from Herculaneum. He took command of the flagship himself, sailing straight toward the chaos. As they neared the volcano, he carefully observed the eruption, dictating his thoughts to a secretary. Sadly, those notes were lost to history, a tragic loss of what could have been a detailed scientific record. But the mission quickly turned impossible. The ships were bombarded by falling pumice stones, ash, and scalding rain. The coastline had changed due to the eruption, with new shallow areas making navigation dangerous. Rough seas and a strong northeast wind pushed the fleet away from Herculaneum, preventing any rescue. Undeterred, Pliny the Elder famously declared, "Fortune favors the bold," and redirected his ships to Stabiae, where his friend Pomponianus lived. Pomponianus was visibly shaken by the unfolding disaster, but welcomed Pliny and his officers with open arms. That evening they shared a meal and wine, trying to maintain some sense of normalcy before retiring for the night. Meanwhile, the towering pine-shaped cloud above Vesuvius was no ordinary storm. It was a massive column of ash, stones, pumice, steam, and toxic gases, rising nearly 18 miles into the sky. Carried by the northeast wind, it drifted directly toward Pompeii. Soon, the sky over the city turned black, plunging it into an unnatural darkness. Ash and small pumice stones began to fall, at first harmlessly, accumulating at a rate of about 6 inches per hour. But as the hours passed, the weight of the debris caused roofs to collapse, trapping people inside their homes. Earthquakes shook the ground with increasing intensity, adding to the growing panic. By midnight, the first phase of the eruption, known as the Plinian phase, ended. The explosive force weakened, and the ash and pumice no longer shot high into the sky. Instead, they began cascading down the slopes of Vesuvius in what is called a pyroclastic flow, a deadly mix of hot gas, steam, rocks, and debris. These flows moved at speeds over 100 miles per hour, with temperatures reaching up to 1600 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything or anyone in their path would be destroyed instantly. Over the next few hours, 7 such flows surged from the volcano, bringing death and devastation. Many residents had already fled by this point. From Pompeii and Oplontis, people headed south toward Stabiae and Sorrento. From Herculaneum, others escaped north to Naples or Misenum. But not everyone could leave. The elderly, the disabled, pregnant women, and children often stayed behind, unable to make the journey. Some underestimated the danger, believing the worst would pass. Others, particularly slaves, were left to guard their masters' homes and possessions. Of Pompeii's estimated population of 11,000, around 2,000 to 3,000 remained when the deadliest phase began. In Herculaneum, only a few hundred stayed, seeking shelter in seaside warehouses. Tragically, they were killed instantly when the first pyroclastic flow hit the city. A second flow missed major settlements, but a third roared straight toward Pompeii. The city's massive walls, which had once stood against invaders like Hannibal, held firm at first. The searing wave of gas and debris crashed into them, stalling briefly, but also sweeping around the edges. It was a devastating strike, yet many who had stayed behind now tried to flee. Their bodies would later be found along the road to Stabiae, heartbreaking testament to their failed escape. About an hour later, a fourth pyroclastic flow surged down the mountain, using debris from earlier flows as a ramp to breach Pompeii's walls completely. The city was engulfed. Back in Stabiae, as conditions worsened, Pomponianus woke Pliny the Elder in alarm. Ash and pumice had nearly buried his villa, reaching the rooftops in some areas. Earthquakes rattled the ground, and walls trembled. Together, they debated whether to stay or risk reaching the ships at the harbor. They chose to leave, tying pillows to their heads for protection against falling debris. It was pitch black outside, with only the distant glow of fires lighting their path. When they reached the harbor, a fierce storm prevented the ships from sailing. Strong winds blew inland from the sea, and they decided to wait for better conditions. Pliny the Elder, exhausted, lay down on the sand to rest. At that moment, a pyroclastic flow reached the coast. It was the same one that had just consumed Pompeii, though it had lost much of its heat and force by the time it arrived. Now, it was more like a fast-moving cloud of hot air, ash, and dust. When the group smelled sulfur, Pliny's companions fled in panic. But Pliny the Elder, elderly and overweight, couldn't keep up. He was left behind, and a few days later, when the ash finally cleared enough for sunlight to break through, his body was found. Most likely he suffocated after inhaling toxic volcanic gases. To many Romans, this disaster wasn't just a natural event. It felt supernatural. Some believed it was a sign of a cosmic battle between gods and giants. The historian Cassius Dio wrote that, just before the eruption, people saw unusually tall figures near the city walls. Others claimed to hear war horns and clashing swords echoing from the volcanic cloud, while flashes of fire and thunder were seen as the god Jupiter hurling thunderbolts from the heavens. These stories reflect a fear and awe that gripped survivors as they tried to make sense of the unimaginable. When the eruption of Mount Vesuvius finally ended, it had claimed an estimated 12,000 lives. The cities of Pompeii, Herculaneum, Stabiae, and Oplontis were buried under layers of ash and volcanic material. In Pompeii, the ash reached a depth of about 10 feet, with only the tops of the tallest temples peeking through. Herculaneum and Oplontis were buried even deeper, under more than 40 feet of debris. What had once been a lush valley of gardens, farmland, and grand villas was now a silent, lifeless wasteland. Yet, remarkably, life found a way to return. Within a few years, new settlements emerged, and the region began to recover, a testament to human resilience. The story of Pompeii and the eruption of Vesuvius is more than just a historical event. It's a window into a lost world. Thanks to the ash that preserved the city, we've uncovered homes, artworks, and even the final moments of its people, frozen in time. Walking through Pompeii today, you can almost hear the laughter of its citizens, smell the bread baking in its ovens, and feel the vibrancy of a city that once thrived. But you can also sense the tragedy, the sudden end that no one saw coming. It's a powerful reminder of how quickly everything can change, how nature can reclaim even the mightiest of human achievements in the blink of an eye. This disaster also teaches us about the importance of understanding our world. If the Romans had known more about volcanoes, could they have saved more lives? Today, we have the tools and knowledge to predict and prepare for such events. But are we always ready to act? The story of Pompeii challenges us to respect the forces beyond our control, and to never take our safety for granted. It's a tale of beauty, hubris, and loss, but also of discovery, as the ruins continue to reveal secrets about the past. As we close this journey, back to 79 AD, we hope you felt the weight of this moment in history. If you've been moved by this story, consider joining us for more explorations into the ancient world. We're a team passionate about bringing these forgotten tales to life, and we release new stories every week. If you'd like to support our work, every contribution, no matter how small, helps us keep going. Whether it's $5 or $50, it means the world to us. You can also leave a super thanks below if you'd like to give a little extra boost. We're so grateful for your time and hope to see you in our next adventure through history. Until then, take a moment to reflect on the fragility of life and the enduring lessons of the past.